Well, it's a day after fantastic weekend of NFL football. Saturday, Sunday, I tell you what, I had so much football, but I'm looking forward to more. It's Monday Night Sports Talk here on the airnetwork.net. Glad to have you along wherever you may be listening online or your mobile device. Welcome, everybody, to Monday Night Sports Talk here on the airnetwork.net. I am Greg Banks in the studios in Huntington, Pennsylvania, being joined by Dave Shannon in Altoona, Pennsylvania, and Jimmy Ty in Hamburg, Pennsylvania. That's down east, down around Philadelphia. Chad States, by the way, could not join us this week. He's got a case of the crud. Man, it's going around. There is this viral infection that is affecting a lot of people. They're trying to work through it, but, if I'm feeling that bad, I don't know about you, Dave, but I'm not going to work. Even though they ask us to even go in with laryngitis and radio, and I'm sure you went through that at some given time, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. How do you talk on the radio? Seriously, think back to our days in the business. How do you actually talk on the radio with strep throat or laryngitis, but it was expected of you to be there in the air chair doing your show?
And then about a week later, then some other person on the air staff would have the same affliction because you came in when you were just absolutely a mess.
Yeah, and you were touching the microphone, the phones, Lysol. Jimmy, now you're in a situation. Jimmy's in a situation where he's got to be around ill people basically all the time. Jimmy, how's your health been?
Awesome. I had a cold the other week, but
okay.
I feel great. I'm ready to run a marathon right now.
Well, you must be getting used to
basketball.
Yeah. Well, God love her. My wife, when she was an elementary school teacher, probably 35, 40 years ago, and I remember she got ill a lot the first year, but after that, she's had this amazing immunity, system because these kids were coming in, their noses were running. You can imagine when you're in elementary school, the kind of bugs that kids were bringing into schools. And I just think all teachers, and I tip my cap to them, man, they have to put up with a lot of crap. But if you get through that first year, you probably got it made for the next 40 or so. But hey,
you get an acceleration to your immune system, and then you're pretty good for a long time.
That's what I'm thinking. And there were no health problems yesterday. We'll start with that game first between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Kansas City Chiefs. Of course, we got the news Friday, guys, that that game was going to be delayed till about 8:20 because of a sort of a pending ice storm that was coming through Kansas City. It was going to be at 1 o'clock. They made the change. Not a real big problem except for we fans who were kind of anxious. Now, having said that, Dave, once we got to the field, we got the kickoff, I'm just amazed. Even though the Steelers won, God love them, man, there was no scoring, no touchdowns. That is scary as we move forward into perhaps the divisional championship here.
I'm looking forward to next year as far as the Steelers are going because this year's over.
Yeah.
I mean, it is just flat out over. It's a shame, too, because the defense is playing very well.
Yeah.
But when you have an offense that can't put the ball in the end zone, just pack it up. Don't pack it up and go home. But that's what's going to happen to you after you make that trip to Foxborough. You're done.
Jimmy,
see you bye.
And Dave's alluding to the fact, Jimmy, I think that Ben had 8 occasions where he was in the red zone yesterday and we couldn't even score. And we had to really rely on Boswell to kick this thing and, of course, get us that 18-16 win against Kansas City. I just hope this is not a sign of the times and things to come this weekend because, got to be quite honest, I don't know how you feel, but it could be embarrassing.
No, I don't think it would be embarrassing. And the main fact that Pittsburgh has Le'Veon, but the thing is about Le'Veon Bell, he starts out really strong at Kansas City yesterday. Couldn't stop him in that first quarter and the second quarter, but then in the third quarter and fourth quarter, they loaded the box up and you could stop him. And with a coach like Belichick, he's going to notice all that, and it's really going to put
he isn't going to be able
running
to
game.
Yeah, he's not going to be able to run from the get-go, Jimmy.
No, he's going to be a sputter because of the way Belichick was scouting that game for the very first from the very first play.
Hey, well, let me ask you guys this. I'll ask Dave first and then Jimmy. Had it not been for that holding call near the end of the game with James Harrison, okay?
Which was a good call. I am sick and tired all day today. All I heard is these whiny Kansas City jerks. He grabbed a hold of him by the frickin' shoulder pads and threw him down to the ground. I heard everything. I heard Harrison fell over to draw the penalty, blah, blah, blah. Your guy held him, period.
That was a takedown. If I've ever seen a wrestling takedown, that's exactly a wrestling takedown, Dave, as far as I'm concerned. I think I'm okay with that. But I'm saying here again, because of the importance of that whole thing that was going on with the extra 2 points that could have tied it up, and the fact that we froze their kicker. Jimmy, you know what? I mean, it was that close. Did we actually win the game, or did Kansas City lose the game, Jimmy?
Kansas City lost the game.
Okay. I just want to be honest. I am a ferocious Pennsylvania fan, but Pittsburgh fan specifically. I just think, they didn't really play up to their expectations yesterday. And that scares me.
The one player that I'm sorry, Dave. The one player that really showed up that I saw yesterday in that first half was Jesse James, the Penn State product.
That was a positive. That was certainly, he did.
Showed up, and if it wasn't for Boswell, which the NFL is probably going to give him another random drug test.
Yeah. And Harrison probably got one somewhere along the line because it's going to happen.
It's going to happen,
Yeah. So anyhow.
When you hit 6 field goals, am I right? Is it 6 field goals in a game?
Yeah.
And you break the postseason record for field goals in a game?
Right.
Yeah, the NFL is going to come down on you. So, Chris, I hope you're clean.
He's already had a couple of random tests already this year. But, Dave, having said that, here, let's go back to some of the action of that game, and then we'll move forward. But the reality was, and everybody was sort of like holding bated breath that was not going to be, a flag. I mean, we wanted it to be a flag in that case of Kelsey holding Harrison. But the reality was, sometimes those guys, like what they call like in the NBA, they swallow their whistles or they hold the flag. If that would have happened, how crazy would we have been? Seriously.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, they missed calls throughout the course of the game.
Oh, they did.
I thought there were calls that were missed that should have been called on the Steelers.
Yeah.
There were other calls that were missed that could have been called on Kansas City, too.
Oh, no doubt.
The officiating is what it is. Now, you were right, Greg, because of the nature of the play and the fact that everyone's attention is focused at that point in the game, and to see that penalty at that point in the game, it really blows it out of proportion.
Yeah.
But you could have looked at that entire game film and seen so many missed calls that took place over the course of the game. And that was for both sides. And, officiating is what it is. I'm amazed, to be honest with you, that the officials get as much right as they do. I think the one group of officials I'm most impressed with are Major League Baseball.
Major League Baseball, yeah. And I think anytime the human nature takes over, I don't care what sport it is, you're not going to catch everything. It's just like, what is the pivotal play that most of us, after like 3.5 hours of that football game, focused on? It focused on Kelsey, who, by the way, also had another penalty, Jimmy, if you remember. Early in the game, he pushed one of our guys. It was so blatant.
Ross Cockrell.
Yeah, so here's what I'm thinking. If this guy wouldn't have been such an idiot, with maybe a couple of the calls that he got against him, Kansas City could have won that game. I mean, quite honestly, he probably was one of the major factors in the fact that they didn't win the game, because you can't give up yardage like that either.
Yeah, he was probably thinking of next year for his next reality show, Chasing Kelsey.
There you go. That's right. Because, Jimmy, tell our audience here on Monday Night Sports Talk, what's this guy involved in off season? What was he in, like The Bachelor? He was doing some kind of Lifetime series?
He was on I watched it the one time with one of my guys.
Right.
But Travis Kelsey is on a reality TV show on E! Network called Chasing Kelsey, where they find 50 women from each state.
Okay.
And he goes out with each woman.
Okay, one woman.
Like Bachelor,
let's go back here, Jimmy, real quick.
Gives them like the rose. Okay. You want to win or what?
It's like
he met a girl.
One woman from each state. One woman from each state. Okay, not 50, but one woman from each state.
A total of 50.
Yeah.
So he meets this girl. Okay.
Yeah.
He starts dating her.
Okay.
Football season starts, and he breaks up with her.
Oh, okay. So
that was Ross. So Ross Cockrell was probably asking him about the show, and he probably got kicked off. That's why he got pushed.
He probably said, "Hey, did you lay the pipe?" No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
all right.
He got pushed.
So he put the hit on him. Okay. Anyhow, Monday Night Sports Talk here on Monday Night Sports Talk on the airnetwork.net. Dave Shannon live from Elton and Jimmy Ty from Hamburg. Jimmy, I get confused sometimes. I want to say down around Harrisburg, but it's actually closer to the Philadelphia Allentown area. Yeah, okay, so the Reading area. So, all right, as we move forward now, we move forward to this week. But before I get there, let me ask you guys this. Dave first and then Jimmy, your thoughts on Antonio Brown. He didn't make much noise yesterday, but he goes into the locker room, and Tomlin is giving his post-game speech. Now, he and a bunch of other guys are over on the other side of the locker room, which would have never happened in the days of Chuck Noll, okay, where you're not over there listening to the speech, but you hear in the background Tomlin saying, well, listen, those effers have, meaning Patriots, have a day and a half on us because they played actually on Saturday, and our game was moved to late Sunday night. And he says, we got to get ready to prepare for them. And then a player says, and don't let any of that social media get. Meanwhile, AB's over there running something live on Facebook, and he's picking all of this up. And it's going out over the world.
Great.
So my thing is, and Jimmy, you probably know what I'm talking about here, when he put that on live and they asked their players to stay off of social media, don't give the Patriots bulletin board material, but he's recording this thing on the other side of the locker room while the speech is being made. Long story short, Dave, what happens to AB? You can't suspend him because you need him against New England, but something's got to happen.
Of free speech too, but the team has a right to make some rules. Now, the NFL took that to a certain step too.
Okay.
When I forget what that was, about 2 or 3 years ago, somebody was tweeting during the game.
The game.
Yeah, and it was like, that's it. Nobody takes their mobile device with them on the field. And I guess it has to come down to nobody takes their mobile device
into the locker room
or turns it on unless they're off of the team's property.
And there has to be a period of time, I think. There has to be a cooling down, a period of time when you're not allowed to utilize social media live.
Well, you're not the media itself is not allowed to be in the locker room for 10 minutes.
Okay, that's what it is.
End of the game.
Yeah, that's
so if that rule applies there, then it's not really taking away the freedom of speech of the players by saying you cannot do that until a bare minimum of 10 minutes after the game. Mm-hmm. But I would prefer that they just go ahead and say,
don't do it.
You know what? That's it. Yeah. When you're on our property, when you're on, in this case, the Pittsburgh Steelers' property, you do not use any of that.
I think, and that's my feeling too. And you can pretty much make that rule and make it known to your players from the get-go when they go into OTAs, whenever they first come in the league. Jimmy, your feeling, what does Tomlin do in this case with the AB? I mean, we love AB. He puts on a great show. He's still learning, though, obviously. I mean, what, if you were the head coach, would you do in this situation? He just put my shit out on the internet.
I would sit down with AB and say, that we need you. We need you to stay focused. This is no time for social media. You don't see Tom Brady on social media. You don't see LeGarrette Blount or Dion Lewis on social media for the Patriots. You don't see Ben on social media this. It's just time just to focus right now. It's the divisional play. It's the AFC Championship game.
Yeah.
Just put your phone down, and just focus.
Although you did see, to that end, Jimmy, I don't know if you saw the thing Brady put out. He has this little comic thing that he does.
Okay.
And it's called the Brady Times.
All right.
And he's got this cartoon of him putting this little blue ox into a bed. And he said... And there's like a caption that says, we put the Texans to sleep.
Okay.
Go to sleep now.
Yeah, okay.
And that's not giving away what your coach is doing and what what kind of inspirational speech.
Yeah.
But Brady actually was out there playing a game, and he was going after a team they beat. So, it's not like you're giving anybody bulletin board material except for next year.
And Dave,
if the Texans play the Patriots.
And you got to think about this. Tom Brady, he's a rich man. He can have somebody do that for him. You know what I mean?
Oh, he did.
And he's not
did. It's a well-done cartoon.
Yeah, and he's not in the locker room doing it 5 minutes after the end of the game, and you still have these millennials. And see, that's what bothered me. You have this whole different disrespect going on for coaching, and I don't know if they permit it, but they're on the other side of the locker room. Tomlin's on the other side with a few guys, probably rookies, probably, guys that are trying to stay on the team, and he's giving this sort of like fiery speech, and he's using some expletives, which happens in the NFL anyhow. So I'm not even surprised what he said. It's just the fact that this dude puts it on the air live. That's what pisses me off.
It's just wrong. It's just wrong. I can't see that you do anything to him.
Yeah.
Jimmy has it right. The best you can do is sit him down and say, come on now, how old are you? And it's just like, put that damn thing down.
Yeah.
At least let me get, we tell the media don't come in here for 10 minutes.
Right.
Can you sit there for 10 minutes and not pick that damn thing up?
And it must have been within the first 5 minutes. Everybody still had their pads and their jerseys on, So
the thing is about social media, Greg.
Right.
I have Snapchat.
Okay.
And I'm looking at my Snapchat right now, just picking my phone up.
Mm-hmm.
And Antonio Brown posted 5 hours ago. And what he posted was something right outside the stadium, said loudest stadium in the world.
Yeah.
A couple Martin Luther King things.
Right.
And then you look down and you have the NFL.
Yeah.
And on the NFL Snapchat right now, it shows literally video of the Packers versus the Packers versus the Cowboys, and it says throw it up to X.
Yeah.
That is on the NFL Snapchat.
So they kind of perpetuate this thing, even though they probably are against it. But they got to realize they're dealing with a whole different generation, because I'll give you an example. Ike Taylor's with us on Wednesdays and Thursdays now because of the playoffs. His schedule's changed. He's heavy into this tweeting thing, which I have no idea what it is, except I know now that I tweet a show to him, and he sends it out to 220,000 followers of his. Now, most of these people don't know who Ike is as a player. They only know him because of the NFL Network. And obviously the Kardashians use all these social media to remain what, Dave? I don't know what they do. They don't dance. They don't sing. They don't do anything. They just
They're trying to stay relevant by keeping their name in front of the public. And
so
that's what it amounts to.
So Tomlin's dealing with this generation of people who grew up with this stuff, and they want to be seen and heard, and it's so narcissistic. It's unbelievable. So I agree with a reporter that I heard earlier today. If I were Tomlin, this is what I would do. I'd tell him tomorrow in practice, probably Wednesday, but no later than Wednesday. I tell him to run his ass. I want you to run sprints, and I want you to do 100 of them. You can come indoors to the facility, but I want him to puke up his guts and understand never to do this again. Now, the reason I say do it tomorrow or Wednesday, that way he has time to recover for Sunday's game. You know what I mean? Because that's kind of hell we caught in wrestling practice back in the 70s. So I think, if you want to be the tough guy and be real stupid, then you got to pay the price. That's just how it is. And he really made Tomlin look like a jerk. Who puts that out live? But anyhow, Monday Night Sports Talk here on the Air Network. Dave Shannon, El Tuna, Jimmy Ty from Hamburg. Here we are, New England guys. I need a prediction. And I think, I had a bunch of people at my house this week and last week. Nobody's going to show up next week because I'm not going to invite anybody because it's going to be embarrassing. No, seriously. It's going to be embarrassing. And I may not want to watch the whole game. So what do you think, Dave?
35-12 Patriots.
All right.
And once again, all 12 points will be scored by Chris Boswell.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
That's it. And it's going to be 35-12. It's going to be an embarrassment.
Yeah.
It's going to be a shame because their defense has been doing such a good job.
Yeah.
One of my favorite moments from the game at Kansas City last night was when James Harrison, the Chiefs had that long drive. I think it was the drive that they scored the touchdown on at the end of the game.
Yeah.
And he was so tired he had to sit over there for 4 plays.
Yeah.
Just to get his breath and, you know what? He was back in the game after he did that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if a whole bunch of 38-year-old guys are going to be able to go out there and play at the level he does.
Right, Jimmy, you know, Brady's got a lot of weapons. Even though Gronk won't be there, he still has Amendola. He's got, there's guys just coming out of the woodwork here. You know, Blunt. So what's your prediction on this game? And Tom Brady, obviously, he's not going to be embarrassed to kick some ass on Sunday.
Well, first off, Tom Brady's focused because of what happened to him earlier in the year. He wants Goodell to hand him that trophy.
Yeah.
Yep, I would too.
Yeah.
He wants Goodell to hand him that trophy. That's what's on Tom Brady's mind. But Pittsburgh has another plan, and that is pressure Tom Brady. Last year in the AFC Championship game, the Broncos pressured Tom Brady.
Right.
Patriots lost. If Pittsburgh puts the pressure on Tom Brady, because Tom Brady cannot play under that pressure, Pittsburgh will win. It all depends on if Steelers defense shows up and puts pressure on them. My final prediction will be Pittsburgh 17.
Yeah.
New England 14.
Okay, so 17-14, and Dave has New England winning. So, but Jimmy has Steelers winning. But here's again, hey, Houston put the pressure on Brady, and they still beat Houston 34-16. Now, having said
the problem was there, Greg, that Houston ran out of gas.
Yeah, they did. They seriously
ran out of gas in the third quarter.
But, you know, Clowney was all in the backfield the whole freaking game, it seemed like. Anyhow, you know, in that game.
Yeah, until the latter part of the third quarter. They just, and it worked.
Yeah.
I mean, Jimmy's right. I mean, that is the key to beating the Patriots is getting pressure. And I think, as I recall, Dick LeBeau did that to him one game in New England. And I forget what season that was. But, it looked like, the Steelers were going to go in and get their heads handed to them. And he was able to pull that off and get the pressure on Brady. Brady couldn't complete passes, and their running game wasn't all that good.
Oh no!
And the Steelers won the game.
Yeah.
That believe me, that was a rarity. But Jimmy's right. That's how you beat him. The question is your team ready to go that hard, that long?
Yeah, and they're going to have to be sustainable because, as you said, Clowney was in there the first half. And then sort of like made if J.J. Watt would have been there and Clowney would have been there, it would have been a whole totally different story. But that case wouldn't happen. But listen, I really truly believe, Jimmy, that what happened in that Houston game, and Patriots are going to win anyhow. I truly believe that. But were they going to cover the spread? And guess what? They covered the spread 34-16 because it was a 16-point spread, I believe, from the get-go. So you mentioned what the Steelers have to do. I just wanted to cite a couple other things. Did Brady help his cause? And we'll talk about another game that was fantastic. But did Brady help his cause to be named MVP this year? Because now there really is a competition. You don't think he will be? Okay. All right.
No. Matt Ryan.
Okay, thank you.
From day one.
Yeah.
Matt Ryan and the Atlanta Falcons I said it from day one that the Falcons are going to go to the Super Bowl.
Okay.
Yep, you sure did.
And he
Jimmy
did.
was
he did
way out in front of this.
Yeah. And none of us saw that.
Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, they have a running game. The Falcons have a defense. It's the Atlanta Falcons this year. They are going to beat Green Bay.
Okay.
It's going to be the Atlanta Falcons in the Super Bowl. But the thing is about Brady, he played against Brock Osweiler, whatever, the $72 million bust.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
He's not playing against Ben.
Right.
AB, Bell. Defense, the New England defense isn't playing against the Killer Bees of Pittsburgh, the stars, of the team. Who does Houston have?
Yeah.
Honestly, who does Houston have to compete against New England's defense?
Yeah, that's true.
No, you're right. Their offense.
Yeah.
Their offense.
Well, in that
game that Tom Brady played against, was against a quarterback that was lesser.
But you did see Brady was sacked several times throughout that game against Houston on Saturday. But let me ask you this real quick, then let's move on to another game. So you all agree at this point, Brady probably will not be chosen the MVP. Let's move over to a guy that might be, and he really helped his cause because going into the game Saturday in the NFC, the Falcons pounded Seattle 36-20. I think Richard Sherman got embarrassed by Matty Ice. I mean, no doubt. The Falcons' defense was just incredible. Jimmy, you called it earlier this season. Those guys are for real.
Tell me about it.
Woo! I don't know if you saw that.
Like, all these quarterbacks, they were all afraid to go against Richard Sherman.
Yeah.
I'm not throwing the Sherman side. Matt Ryan's like, screw that, man.
He went right at him.
I'm going to see how good this guy really is. Another report comes out that Richard Sherman had an injured knee all season. Crap.
Hey,
Ben Sherman just got used by one of the best receivers in the league in Julio Jones.
Yeah, Ben likes to mention that sometimes when he gets a little injury too. After we get hurt. So, but we can start to ignore him, and I guess we can ignore Richard Sherman too. But that defense for the for Falcons were crazy. Matt Ryan, man, unbelievable game that he had against Seattle. Dave, it's one of those situations where they were there years ago. Russell Wilson, they pretty much owned the NFC, but not any longer, man. I guess I'm kind of surprised they even got that far, but then I'm really surprised about the Falcons, man, because they're in the hunt now for the Super Bowl.
Oh, I think they're going to the Super Bowl, to be honest with you. I just think the Green Bay Packers are not going to be able to get by them. And I was sitting here after I watched that game on Saturday, because here's the thing.
Yeah.
We very seldom have access to an Atlanta Falcons game.
That's right, because we're doing the East Coast games then. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
We're not doing Southern games.
We just don't get to see them that often, and I had no appreciation for them per se. And then, what can you gather from highlights that they show on ESPN? Not a whole lot.
Right.
But I'll tell you what, I was sitting here Saturday saying that damn Jimmy had this nailed.
And Jimmy's even said that as much on Facebook, because I was on Facebook, and Jimmy said, I told you back at, during Sports Talk. And he was right.
Yeah.
I went back and listened, and he said that. So you called it, Jimmy. Good job on that. Now, it was the Falcons 36, Seattle 20. Now they're poised to take on who I thought had one of the best games of his season, Aaron Rodgers against the Cowboys. Rodgers looked like that guy. Who's that guy that I remember, man, that always came through during the clutch? Well, there are several guys. Yeah, Joe Montana, Brent Favre. I mean, even Johnny Unitas. See, we're going back that far. But I got to say, Jimmy, you had to have been impressed with the Packers yesterday, and what was a close game, 34-31 against the team. Even though they're young, they could have been contenders, the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh my God, yeah, but going back to what we talked about earlier on in the show about the refs, the one ref called the Jared Cook out of bounds.
Out of bounds on that, you mean the pass play?
The other refs, the back judge said no, he was inbound.
Yeah.
Right now, you look at that replay, he was inbound.
He dragged his feet. Yeah, I did see that.
And they couldn't the coaches could not throw the flag.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It had to come from a booth review, which you probably wouldn't have if, let's say, they both wrote him out of bounds.
Yeah.
They did review it, though.
Yeah, they did.
It was reviewed.
Yeah, you're right. They did review it, but like we were saying before, the refs do make mistakes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and they're human, guys. I mean, we
can
have all the reviews and slow it down. And we watched AB make a touchdown 2 weeks ago where he caught the ball and he actually reached over the goal line for the touchdown. All right? Yep. I mean, so that was all good. So, I mean, that happens. Let me go back to this Green Bay game real quick, Dave. Here again, the last shot was a field goal. It seemed to be what was happening throughout. Now, because they were frozen. I mean, they called timeout when the guy had already hit a 50-yard field goal and kind of froze him out, and then he goes back and kicks it and makes it again. That's what it came down to. It came down to the kicker, who will be important as we move forward in these championships this weekend. What do you think?
Oh, I don't have any. The beauty about the game coming up for the Falcons is they're indoors. So,
that's right.
That takes a big part of this game out of it. Same thing there in Dallas yesterday. They're playing indoors, so kickers, it's up to you. Is your leg strong enough? Have you done this enough times? Yeah. Obviously, there in Dallas, they did.
There's probably no.
Crosby, for Crosby to hit 2 in a row from that distance.
Yeah.
Although the one that won the game was a little bit closer to that left upright.
Exactly.
I saw. I didn't before it.
I got to be honest. I didn't think that was going to make it. I said, "Oh, there's no way."
I didn't either.
It's going to go.
It was going to go.
It's going to go left, wide,
yep.
and it just made it inside the goal post. So anyhow, Jimmy, what do you think? We're going to do a prediction here because we got games coming up on Sunday. 2 games: the NFC Championship followed by the AFC Championship. And I got to be quite honest. Let's talk first about that NFC. You got the Falcons and you got the Packers. One is the traditional sort of contender. They've been there, done that. They're led by a guy, quite frankly, he could have been MVP several seasons. And now you have this young gunslinger coming in by the name of Matt Ryan. How do you think that game is going to turn out between the Falcons and the Packers? And that game, by the way, I think begins around 4:40 on Fox TV.
Like my friend at work, Katie Pickle, said today.
Katie would say that.
Hey, no. My friend Katie Pickle said this today about the Packers game. Jimmy, did you see that game?
Mm-hmm.
I said, yeah, I saw the game. She's like, I'm so happy the Cowboys lost. The Packers are going to the Super Bowl. I told her, no way, Jose. It's all the Falcons.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm going to say the Falcons are going to represent the NFC.
Right.
And I'm going to be a homer and say the Steelers will represent the AFC. And the winner of that Super Bowl will be Stairway to 7. Steelers will win.
Jimmy, I appreciate it. But see, as the ringleader of the show, Monday Night Sports Talk, the guy that asked the questions, I only asked you the question about the Falcons and the Packers. Oh. So you kind of blew like another segment to stretch this thing out.
Well, he already picked the Steelers, so
okay.
We knew that one.
Yeah.
It'll be the Falcons in the NFC.
Okay.
I said it from day one. It will be the Falcons.
All right. So it's going to be the Falcons. Dave, let me ask you on this Falcons Packers game. And I do believe that you picked New England. So we know New England's going to the Super Bowl. But what about this game? What's going to happen?
Well, you know what? Just for the sake of being a contrarian on the show here,
and that's all right.
I'm going to, and I'll tell you one thing I do that I noticed in that game. I never saw a quarterback in a big game like that seem to have so much fun playing the game as Aaron Rodgers did yesterday.
Exactly. He's like the kid in a candy store.
He looked like he took, I don't know, whatever you want to say he took to calm himself down, but he was so calm and having a ball playing the game. And if he walks into Atlanta and plays that way, Green Bay wins that game 28-21. And that would make for an interesting Super Bowl if Jimmy's pick came through and you'd have Green Bay and the Steelers. That would be a very interesting Super Bowl.
What does the NFL see, though? NFL wants to see some major markets, or they want to see traditionalists like maybe the Patriots or maybe the Steelers and maybe the Packers. I don't know, maybe you guys can tell me, they don't really want to see Atlanta, do they?
No.
Not in the Super Bowl.
That's not a big enough television market.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Could you imagine if it would have been Atlanta and, let's say, Kansas City? What would you do then? Yeah, because remember now, hey guys,
already after the Packers beat Dallas.
Yeah.
Super Bowl tickets went down in price.
Yeah, and remember, the game's being played in Houston this year, guys. You know what I mean? That's where it is.
And by the way, did you see that what the ratings were for the Cowboys Green Bay? How many people they drew for that?
That had to have been a big draw.
50 million people watch Green Bay.
Do you have any idea what it was for Pittsburgh and Kansas City? It couldn't have been like that large. I doubt. No. So anyhow, listen, guys, we'll talk more about that next week because, of course, after the games, we'll see how everybody fares. We're hoping that the Steelers will come through, and get us that, 7th ring now? Because I keep getting these guys coming to me with like, the Patriots are this or the Cowboys are this, and I'll say, how many rings do they have? And then all of a sudden it kind of quiets them. Yeah, but nothing. See, reality is reality and perceptions are perception. Dallas perceived that they could go to the Super Bowl. Where are they at? They're golfing today. So, hey, Monday Night Sports Talk here on the airnetwork.net. Hey, listen, we got more sports to talk about. We're going to take a quick break. I'll be back with Dave Shannon.
I can go get coffee now.
Hey, you can get coffee. I can take a pee. And, Jimmy, you can have a smoke and maybe a girlfriend in the minute that we have. And we only got a minute. Otherwise, I'd play In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida, Dave. And, that's 20 minutes long. But we'll be right back here on Monday Night Sports Talk on the airnetwork.net.
The Huntington Moose Family Center 223 is the heart of the community. Becoming a member of the Huntington Moose enables you to join friends who have served the community for over 100 years. Join the women of the Moose for another great breakfast and bake sale coming up Saturday, January 21st from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. Plus, check out our Friday food specials every Friday this month. The Huntington Moose Family Center 223, serving the community with the best value in town.
Pennsylvania Highlands Community College provides you the option to earn an associate degree, diploma, or certificate at an affordable cost. The Penn Highlands Huntington Center, located on Margie Drive in Huntington, offers degree programs in business management, criminal justice, liberal arts and sciences, and psychology. Are you ready to take the next step on your career path? Contact Penn Highlands Huntington at 814-643-6200 or visit Penn Highlands Community College online at pennhighlands.edu.
It's Monday Night Sports Talk on the airnetwork.net. Greg Banks in the studio. Dave Shannon live from Altoona, and Jimmy Ty tonight in Hamburg, PA. Chad States couldn't make it. He's got he's got an ailment, like the crud, I call it, but it's probably the flu. So we wish you a speedy recovery to our good friend Chad States. Hopefully he'll join us next week. Hey, meanwhile, Dave, the Penguins, I don't know, a little discouraged after I actually watched them 3 games in a row. And I don't know what's going on, man. That's 3 losses we had in a row? Or
it's the worst stretch during the season so far. And right now, in the first period, as we're doing the show, it's Washington 1, Pittsburgh 0.
Oh, that's right. They returned a match that we had with them down in Washington last week. They're back home tonight. Okay.
Yeah. So it is a point of concern that happened. They have developed into a really strong home team over the last 12 games. The Penguins are 11-0-1. So they're undefeated over the last 12 in PPG Paint's arena.
But there shouldn't be any concern, right? I mean, it's only 3 games.
Yeah, and, fact of the matter is that, there's still a long way to go. I mean, I remember this panic type of stuff that emerged last year when you had the Mike Johnson thing and they got into a horrible stretch and they were way behind and there was all this panic going on, and then Sullivan didn't come out of the gate and win every game either, and it just kept going, and it's like, talk to me in March, people. That's when the NHL gets decided. That's when your, spacing comes up, what seed you're going to be in the conferences. So, just hang in there. It's, the Penguins are going to have their rough spots now and again, and that's what they're going through right now. I think they need this win tonight just to get back on the horse.
Let's talk about some of the individual and the key players, because you follow it much closer than I or Jimmy does. Let's talk a little bit about what you see positively and what are the negatives and what do they have to work on here as we talk about the Pittsburgh Penguins on Monday Night Sports Talk on the airnetwork.net. Dave Shannon. Go, Dave.
Their positives are always the kids coming up from the, Scranton Wilkes-Barre Baby Penguins. And you had Chad Ruedel is back up, a defenseman, and also Jack Gensel, who in his first game we were on, and now Washington's just gone ahead 2-0 on a Nicholas Backstrom goal for the Washington Capitals. But the Jack Gensel was the guy, and he had just come up, and we were doing a Monday Night Sports Talk, and he scored 2 goals, I think, during that game. So that's their plus, is that when guys go down, and right now Chris Letang, I would say his knee got messed up pretty bad there Saturday's game, and it was not done on purpose. I think the tip of his skate got wedged into that open area on the Red Wings player's skate and twisted his knee pretty bad. So he is out, but he's the only Penguin out of the regular starters that's out right now. So, overall they're in pretty good shape. A little bit concerning there that, it's not been the best stretch for Marc-Andre Fleury. He's given up a lot of goals, and now we sit here tonight and it's Matt Murray in the nets for the Penguins, and he's already given up 2 here in the first period to the Caps, but that's still manageable. Now, if that continues on and he gives up 6, like has happened here with Fleury of late, then, it's going to be another loss. So there's any number of things you can look at there. But I think I see the team still playing well, still utilizing their speed, and just running up against some really good goalies at this particular point in time. So like I say, I don't get overly concerned, Greg, until March.
Yeah.
If they're still in some kind of a skid in March, then there's some problems there. But, for right now, let's just say that you're going to have bad stretches throughout the course of the season.
Well, I appreciate that. Meanwhile, Jimmy, you're a casual hockey fan. You kind of jump on when we get into the playoffs, and obviously if we get into the Stanley Cup. When is it that you traditionally jump into the hockey season? Because I know you also like basketball. And as we kind of trail out here on the football season, you'll probably heavy up on college basketball especially. But when do you jump on the bandwagon with the Penguins, being that you're from Western PA?
Oh, I'm always watching the Pens or keeping updated on the Penguins, even down here in Shoey. Like, we have Comcast Sportsnet down here in Shoemakersville.
Right.
And they always show the Flyers.
And also the 76ers, which they appall me.
I'm going to watch a pro game that's not national televised.
Right.
It's going to be Philadelphia. So, I watch the Flyers once in a while. I'm not a big Flyers fan.
Yeah.
But I do keep updated. And I did watch the game whenever I was home this past weekend in Johnstown against Detroit. And, Dave was right with everything. We came out, who was it? Chris Letang with that first early goal within like the first 20 seconds of the game.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're like, man, the Pens are hot. They're going to win. And we ended up losing the game.
Yeah.
But I'll watch them throughout the year, but it's hard now being down here.
And the fact that you're working too oftentimes. And Dave, you had mentioned the young man that we were on the air probably about a month ago, you and I live. And at that time, this young cat comes up from Wilkes-Barre, Scranton. What's his name? Gansel?
Jack Gansel.
And he scored twice within, it was like, I don't know if it was a record-making score that he did that. His parents were in the house that night. It was incredible. I think he had 2 goals within like maybe 10, 15 minutes of one another. But as soon as he touched the puck the first time, he scored a goal. And that's amazing for a kid who was, 18, 19 years old, I think, at the time.
And one of the things about this just points out that the Penguins, the people that they have that are in charge of player personnel for this team, and that includes scouting and everything.
Right.
They are really able to go out there and find this young talent and then have the right people there at Scranton Wilkes-Barre to continue to develop them. One of the things I have noticed, Greg, and I watched Penn State play hockey. They televised the game. Incredible
season they're having, by the way, too, man. It's incredible. Yeah,
they were having a pretty tough outing against Michigan State until, about midway through the third period there Saturday night.
Yeah.
And then they just opened up on them. It was, it was a real attack. I will say this, though, because I don't know if either of you guys watched any of the World Junior Hockey Championships.
No, but I recall you talking about it the night we were on the show a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah, and I spent a lot of time watching all the teams. I'll tell you this much. I watched a reasonable portion of the Penn State-Michigan State game.
Yeah.
The kids that are in junior hockey that are playing are way better than the college players.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it's amazing to me to see the skill level that these kids, and to the point where you don't realize how young they are until a helmet pops off or something like that.
And the kid looks 10 years old, but he's actually only 15 or 16 years old.
It's just, it's just amazing. You see all of a sudden this guy that's playing like Sidney Crosby or Mario Lemieux, his helmet comes off and he looks like he's about 12.
Oh, man. How amazed are you, as we were talking about Penn State at Pagula, which is packed every night Penn State plays, whether it's the men's hockey team or the women's hockey team, Dave, that they are one of the top teams now after only like 4 or 5 years after playing club hockey in Division I hockey. I mean, how incredible is that?
They're ranked fourth. They're going into Friday's game. I don't know what that changed to.
But it doesn't matter. I mean, can you imagine you were a club hockey team no longer than maybe 5-6 years ago, and now you're one of the elite in Division I college hockey going against Boston College? I mean, those teams, they have these long traditions. It's
Boston
unreal.
College, Boston University,
right?
North Dakota State.
Yeah. It's incredible. So, anyhow, I've been watching a little bit of college hockey, but more importantly, NHL hockey. What do we have coming up for the Penguins this week? Now, they're tonight taking on, at home, by the way, the Capitals and Ovechkin and the Bad Boys, which is a rivalry in itself. What else do we have coming up this week, by the way, in hockey?
Hang on just a second.
Right.
I've come into this segment a bit unprepared, but
That's
will not take me long to get to this.
I know Dave has that
next
on
take
his...
on the Canadiens on Wednesday. And then on Friday, they will be at Carolina, and they'll wrap things up on Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock when they host the Boston Bruins.
Man, you know what? I am still amazed, Dave. I'm looking at the standings as of Saturday, and at the top of the Metropolitan Division, we're number 3, Washington's number 2, and there sits Columbus. Who would have thunk?
It's been an amazing season. Now, back to what I was talking about earlier, wait till March. That's what I want to see. Is Columbus still there in March?
Yeah, because they're a young bunch of guys, and they've not been there before. So, again, as we were talking about football, do you have enough to sustain yourself? Matty Ryan, I mean, is he going to be able to, with, the Atlanta Falcons? Columbus is the same way. They've not been there before. They've not done that before, but wouldn't it be incredible when it's all said and done that they're in the hunt for the Stanley Cup? I mean, for the tournament. I mean, that's incredible. Anyhow, that's great.
No, that's a good job, and I'm no big fan of John Tortorella because I really thought, and he's starting to show this a little bit with the Blue Jackets too. He is one of those guys that really promotes old-fashioned beat-em-up hockey.
Right.
I mean, a real physical game.
Uh-huh.
And to the point where a friend of mine always called him John Tortorella.
And when he was in New York, I don't even think the players liked that guy. Seriously, who wanted to play for him, man? I think they ran him out of Gotham City, and he did land on his feet because, again, he's a respected coach. Let's kind of like do a little change here for a moment. Jimmy, we were talking briefly about Penn State. Penn State basketball is starting to look a little bit better. They have their ups and downs, and we know it will never be great, nor is Pitt. Now, the Air Network actually happens to air a lot of the Pitt basketball games from the IMG Sports Radio Network, okay? So when we have a chance, and Dave's not on the air, and we'll talk about that during his games, we have the Pitt basketball games. Now, tomorrow night, I believe they take on North Carolina. All right,
which you won't hear because we'll have
a game exactly. But next week we've got Louisville again. Is that Pitt program ever going to really be out of? I don't know. If you had to look at it on a tier system in college basketball, will they ever be an elite team again?
No, not right now. Not with Stallings as head coach. He was head coach down at Vanderbilt, and
that wouldn't even
didn't do
close.
Too much. No, not with Stallings, and not with the type of recruits they're getting in. They're getting 3-star recruits coming in the Pitt. So no.
And Dave,
they're never going to be. They're never going to be. They'll make the tournament.
Right.
They'll do this. They'll go maybe to the Sweet 16, but they won't get past that. Yeah. No.
When was the last time Pitt actually really was a threat? I'm trying to think of Jerome's last name. When last
time they were a threat.
When was the last
when
time?
They had Jerron Blair.
There you go. That's who I was thinking of. And I remember he would crash the boards, you know what I'm saying? And they had amazing players on that team. But Dave, conversely, Pat Chamberlain, when's he going to be able to? Chambers from Penn State. That program's probably not going to go anywhere either. I mean, really, how do you recruit the best AAU players in the world? And you were talking about junior hockey. There's a difference between college hockey and junior hockey. Junior hockey, that's what you do for a living. So you got to go to school when you play at Penn State or Boston University or Boston College. So in this case, at Penn State, it'll never be upper tier basketball. We just can't expect that, can we?
Well, I will say one thing. I mean, and I've heard it seems as though the announcers, and it's happened 2 consecutive games now. The one game was telecast on, actually both games were on ESPN.
Or Big Ten.
Okay, ESPN. The point that these announcers were making in both of these games, both Michigan State and Michigan State, it was a little more relevant to that game because
they won that game,
what they were talking about is that Chambers is recruiting so many young men from Philadelphia. And it's going to be at the point after this year that he's basically going to have a Philadelphia City League team at Penn State.
Do
you get a rubber stamp because you're a good high school basketball player in Philly? Are you rubber stamped into a Division I program? I don't think so.
Well, I think you are. Yeah, I think you're an elitist, but you're probably not as good as the kids in L.A. or maybe in where they play in New York City, Jimmy. Every summer, you can go up there and watch those games at that one park there. I mean, you find the best.
What's it called, man?
Rutgers
it's
Park,
up in Harlem.
Yeah, it's up in Harlem. So I mean, Philadelphia is just not like that anymore.
It's a famous court. I can't think of the top of my head.
All right, well, think about it while I ask Dave this question. So what is it going to take, Dave, other than just Philadelphia? He's going to actually recruit across the country because it's not going to happen out of Philadelphia, you know?
Yeah.
When it comes to Penn State basketball.
It is a real tough sell.
Yeah.
Because, first of all, you don't have a program that has a pedigree.
And it's not in an urban area, Dave. Did you ever notice when you were at St. Francis and somebody would make a visit and you're out in the middle of the woods, and I kind of liken this to Penn State. You see all those farm fields. Now, you're a kid that grew up in the city. You're a pretty good basketball player. You're on the court every day, and then all of a sudden you make a visit to Penn State or you go to St. Francis.
Hell, you may have never seen a cow in your life.
That's what I'm talking
other than
about.
on a Chick-fil-A commercial.
Exactly. So when you see that for the first time, and this happened since like the 50s and the 60s, when you see that, you're like, oh, hell no, I don't think I'm going here. This is out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, but, what happens is if you got the program at a point where it has the pedigree. Yeah. And boy, the job that James Franklin, first of all, Franklin, I think very good
That's
with young people
different
to begin
football.
with.
Yeah.
But now he's got his pedigree back after that game against USC.
Yeah.
And it's like he's not going to have any trouble recruiting for a while.
And let's touch on wrestling real quick.
But that just doesn't happen with basketball. There's not been anybody there. The most successful 2 coaches, which went back to back, Bruce Parkhill, never really got the credit
in the 80s
that he deserved, for what he did there at Penn State. But then he was followed by Jerry Dunn.
Yeah.
And, from what I was able to gather, Bruce continued to pass along advice to Jerry Dunn.
Right.
And those were the last 2 coaches that really did anything with that basketball team. Yeah. And I just don't see Chambers. Chambers, boy, I'll tell you what, if Terry Bradshaw wants to go down the cheerleader route, that's what he can do there because Chambers is a screaming, yelling maniac during a game. And I just kind of look at him and think to myself, that's all well and good, but I don't think it's doing your team any good.
Well, I don't want to stay too long on that subject of basketball. I did want to ask Jimmy real quick before I transition into wrestling, just briefly, and then what we've got coming up on the Air Network. Jimmy, the NBA, a couple of things happening. Carmelo Anthony, New York Knicks, they bring in Phil Jackson as the GM. It's just going crazy up there. They got Derrick Rose, who, by the way, he doesn't even show up for one game, nor does he call in to say, hey, I'm okay. They've got search parties out for this guy. What the hell is going on in New York? And should they trade Carmelo? Because they offered the fact that they could have moved him somewhere else. Is it time?
No, it's not time. He's the face of the Knicks.
He is. Yeah, I understand that, but you know
what?
He's
the face of the Knicks.
He doesn't seem to be happy.
You're not going to get anybody in the building, even though they don't get anybody in the building now.
Yeah.
But no, he's the face of the Knicks, and no.
What is it with these guys who are leaving?
No. They should not get rid of him.
Well, what is it with these guys in the NBA who, like even LeBron left Miami and he put together his players that he wanted at Cleveland, and now you got D Rose in New York, and where'd Wade go? He went back. He went to Chicago.
You
know, it just. I don't know. That NBA thing just seems to be weird, man. It's like, they get to pick and choose where they want to go and bring players with them. I don't have much time for that because they're like elitist multi-millionaires who get to bounce a ball. I get bounced all the time and don't get paid. So, Dave, real quick as we wrap it up, Monday Night Sports Talk here on the airnetwork.net with Dave Shannon and Altoona. We've got Jimmy Ty, and we are missing tonight Chad States, who is the voice of Bearcat Wrestling. But Dave is the voice of Bearcat Basketball. You get the chance to do a boys game tomorrow night for the first time on the Air Network as Bearcats take on Bellefonte. How are you loving that experience again, man? And I know it's very early in the season. You don't know these kids. But are they treating you right at the Bearcat Gymnasium? Because if not, I'm going up there and I'm going to start raising some hell.
No, treated very well by the fans and all of the staff that are there at the school. As a matter of fact, they decided that we'd try something a little bit different for the boys' game as I sat courtside for the girls' game last week, and we're going to try to elevate my position.
Another vantage point, per se, huh?
Yeah, so we're going to give that a shot this week, but no, really, really good folks, and I'm really looking forward to this game. The Huntington Bearcats have had a pretty decent season so far, and this should be a good game coming up tomorrow night against Bellefonte. So, looking forward to being back in the high school gymnasium tomorrow night.
Coming up tomorrow night, by the way, pregame is 6:45, right? And then we'll do the game about 7:00, I guess, tip-off.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on the, I don't know what all they'll have going on as far as JV goes. So, we'll take it from there. It'll be in that general vicinity.
Okay.
Where it'll be.
And I'll hit it up on Facebook as well.
I did want to pass along, I did get to hear Chad with Bearcat Wrestling.
Against Mount Union,
What a great job. What a great job. A real pleasure to listen to Chad.
Yeah.
And, of course, the Bearcats pretty darn good wrestling squad,
and,
too.
I think they had a guy that, and I won't even talk about it because I'd rather have Chad on here. We had Jake Oliver, a state championship finalist last year, a champion, who won a weekend tournament. And, of course, it's one of those large tournaments that everybody from the country comes into. And I think he beat the top dog. We'll talk more about that because our next wrestling match is coming up sometime in February. Jimmy, you know what? We need to get together sometime, you, Dave, me, and some of the old guys from Monday, from Game of the Week, you know what I'm saying? Some of the alum guys, and talk about some of our experiences, because we can do that on the internet. Now, if we put it on radio, we'd probably have to censor it, though. Because I tell you, I could tell a story about, I could probably tell one about Dave. I could probably tell one about Jimmy. You guys could tell one about me. And but it'd be embarrassing if it was on the FCC's radio.
There's Tom Callahan.
Tom Callahan. We could tell some stories. Hey, but anyhow, our story continues here on Monday Night Sports Talk. We'll do it again next Monday night with Dave Shannon and Jimmy Ty. Thank you, guys. I had a good time.
Thank you, Greg.
All right. Hey, don't forget, tomorrow night, Tuesday night, it is Dave Shannon live from Huntington Area High School as he's got high school basketball for you. The Bearcat boys taking on Bellefonte. Red Raiders is live here at 7 o'clock tip-off on, of course, the airnetwork.net. Check out our website. You can rebroadcast of this show plus the podcast of Monday Night Sports Talk. Have a great one, everybody.
See ya.
By the way, go Steelers!